Hello, welcome to Retro Toy Princess. I'm Allison Troy. Today I'm going to be testing out this Woomer pencil set. These popped up on my Amazon suggested sets about a year ago. And it took me about 6 months to actually order them. And about a month ago, I finally got around to opening them to test them out. And then I discovered all of the audio on the footage was staticky and kept cutting out. So this video took a little bit longer than normal. This, of course, is a voiceover. One of the reasons it took me so long to order this set is the price was all over the place. When I added them, the set was $35 US, and then it jumped up to $49.99, then dropped to $29.99, then it went back up to $49.99, but there was a coupon that brought it down to $27.99. And I was going to get it, but then before I could, it was back up to $49.99 with no coupon. Then finally it rolled around with a discount and a coupon that made it $31.99. So I went ahead and bought it before another wild price fluctuation ruined my shopping. Which is a long way of saying this set is all over the place price-wise. Now I'm going to swatch these, and I've picked out a couple of pages from the various books I normally color art from for this channel to test them out on. I'm going to drop in some music right here and check back in after the coloring portion of the video is done. Now for my final thoughts. I felt like I was able to get really nice, vibrant layers of color with these. They blended fairly well, although not as good as Prismacolor or Black Widow pencils do. These did not play as well on all of the paper that I use to print pages on, especially the cardstock that I used to print the Barbie and the Rockers page on. For instance, on that one, I had to work really hard to get good saturations and blends, and even then, I didn't entirely get the saturation or coverage that I generally like. They were fine, just not great, and that's okay. It just means that I won't use these pencils on things printed on that particular paper stock. Now let's chat about the Too Faced page. This is from my DC Supervillains coloring book, and I do use this on almost every colored pencil test video I do. The reason for that is it's made by Insight Editions. Insight Editions does a lot of the licensed coloring books that are made for adults in this day and age, so more than likely, if you're buying a store-bought coloring book for adults, it's going to be Insight Editions. So it's always good to test on this because most people are actually going to color a book on this paper. I will say in the past, several of the pencil sets I've tried out in these videos did not play well on this paper. And this is the first set of pencils where I really felt the pencils were a good choice. I was able to get really nice results here. I was really happy with the textures I was able to create for the fabrics. And the layers I was able to put down to get the acid burn side of Too Faced's face. It was just an extremely pleasing process. This is probably the first pencil set I've used in this book where there wasn't a level of stress and anxiety that I wouldn't be able to make them work in the end. I was actually just able to focus on coloring and having fun, which is ultimately the goal anytime you're doing adult coloring, and it just ended up being really fun. I really had fun with the burn side of Too Faced's face. Felt like I just was able to achieve the effects I wanted. So, in conclusion, if you are going to color in a purchased book, this Woomer set is a good fit for those. Not so much if you're going to print on your own paper. For that, you're going to want to test these to see if your paper works well. The only real con I have for this set, and it's really the only caveat I have for recommending this set, it's the price. If you can find this set on sale or with a coupon or discount and it falls within $25 to $35, then this is a great set. If it's regular price or barely discounted, I just can't recommend this set. It's not good enough to drop 50 bucks on. There are way better sets of the same or similar quality as the set that you can get with more pencils than this for 50 bucks. So that's it. This one is going to come down to whether or not it's on sale or it's a good price. Otherwise, I would say pass. So it's on sale, you should grab it if you need a set. And if it's not on sale, either wait for it to go on sale or find something. And with that, another pencil test video has come to an end. Do you have the set? If so, what do you think? If there are any sets you'd like me to test, let me know in the comments. I have a ridiculous collection of pencil sets I have yet to try or open. I probably already have the set, and I'd be happy to do a test video on them to see how they work. As always, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like, and if you'd like to see more like this, you should subscribe. Thank you again for watching. I'll see you again in the next one.